That's a lot of sugar.
No one said this was healthy.
If you search, then you shall find. Put together in my mind. When you put your mind on mine, I knew you were mine. I'm missing you.
Hey,
Hey,
family. So this week we're making two of my sister's most famous entrees for the holidays.
Ooh. Ah.
We've already prepped the sweet potatoes. You're gonna peel it and cut it into like
little round circles.
yeah, circles. It's like, is that a quarter inch? An eighth of an inch? Quarter inch.
I think about a quarter, yeah.
A quarter or a centimeter for our European friends. And then we've already prepped our 6 cheeses.
So we've got extra mature cheddar, Red Leicester, Gouda, Edam, mature cheddar, Colby Jack, and Mozzarella.
Well done, boo.
So I have mozzarella, I have mild cheddar, I have sharp cheddar, I have Gouda, I have Muenster, and I have Colby Jack. So that's a nice little blend. Sounds like you guys have a good blend too. You want to find ones that one go well together, but also balance out flavor too, because you don't want to have it too sharp. You don't want to have it, creamy with really no depth. So like you need sharp as well as mild cheeses. So we're gonna start with the yams because they take the most amount of time. Look on the recipe to see what the temperature on the oven is.
350 Fahrenheit, so that's 200.
About 180, isn't it?
350 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to 176.667 degrees Celsius.
Hey, you got that right. Okay, boo.
I'm getting used to converting my imperial metric, right?
Transatlantic indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Something else you can start while you're doing that is pasta. So you can see I have a pot in the back. I'm gonna turn that on, add a little bit of salt. You wanna salt your water because noodles need a little love too. Salt the water till you can taste it. It doesn't have to be ocean, but you should be able to taste the salt. Like that it has salt in it, and that will flavor the noodles well. What is that?
We got some sea salt for these ocean noodles. Yeah.
You take taste the water, is it salty?
Some type of reaction happening on my stove right now.
More stuff. Will this be enough? We got one.
It should be for you guys. Yeah. Just use the whole bag.
We're making it for us, but we're thinking it's not gonna last very long because Carly already wants some, and then Ronnie.
Oh, tell them that I helped you make it with love, so it's for me as well.
Well, they heard it was you who's helping us make it, and that's why they want some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I miss them. I gotta get back over there, but COVID. So the sweet potatoes call for unsalted butter. I also have regular salted butter for the mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna melt the butter.
Our water's going. Should we throw the pasta in?
If it's boiling, you can. Also for the noodles, you want to undercook them so that, because they're gonna cook again when you bake it. You can prep this. Say you want to make it tomorrow, you can prep it, create the casserole dish, and then just bake it when you're ready to eat it. So my butter is currently melting down. You don't have the thick version of butter over there.
We have this.
Let me see. Oh Lord.
Okay, Google. How much does a stick of butter weigh?
One stick weighs 110 grams.
Yeah, use the whole stick.
110 grams of butter for our European watchers.
Once your butter is all the way melted, you're gonna add in your sugar, and you want to stir it until the sugar and the butter kind of start to combine.
So we need 2 cups of sugar, correct? Okay, Google. How much does 2 cups of sugar weigh?
Or precisely 399.83411968 grams.
So 400.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're covering all our bases. I'm doing the American way, and you guys are covering the measurements for the UK.
That's a lot of sugar.
No one said this was healthy.
That's a lot of sugar.
This is why you eat it once a year and try to. I don't make this often. Yeah, that's about 2 cups, I think. The butter is almost melted, so I'll start adding in my sugar when that's done. For this, I like to use a whisk because it just makes it come together well. Just so you know, you're also gonna need a little butter. So one, line the pans. It doesn't take a lot. But you're also going to, when the noodles are done, we'll walk through what we do. Yep, that's perfect. Now I'm at the point where I have to add my sugar in. Sugar, you can mix it in maybe like a cup at a time. It's gonna get very crystallized, but once you add the heavy cream in, it'll smooth out.
How many milliliters are in 1/4 of a cup?
0.25 cups is 59.147 milliliters.
I'm gonna add the spices. I'm gonna use my favorite for this, Haitian vanilla. Shout out to my people. You can get this on Amazon. Thanks to my brother letting me know, but this is Haitian vanilla. It's a lot more concentrated than regular vanilla, but it really does something for flavor, so you don't need a whole lot. It's in a league of its own as far as vanilla is concerned. So I'm just gonna do like half of a cap.
So I'll do like 2 caps?
Yeah, especially because, like I said, regular vanilla is not as strong.
Maybe I'll do 3 caps then.
I believe it calls for about 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. Not tablespoons, I'm sorry, teaspoons.
All right, we're gonna say that's a little over 3 with an actual teaspoon.
But it will change the color dramatically. As you'll see, it's gonna get really dark once you add the cinnamon in. So that's what you want. That's what's gonna give the potatoes a very nice color when they're done cooking.
How much nutmeg would you say?
A half teaspoon's probably good because nutmeg has a very strong presence, so you don't need a whole lot. You can also add a little bit of ginger, not a whole lot. It's not necessary. I put a very little amount. What's really gonna transform this, and I have my friend Kim to thank for this, just add a little bit of orange juice.
Oh.
And the acidity from the orange juice is gonna kind of balance out the sugar.
How much juice did you say again?
You're gonna just kind of play with it. Start with the tablespoon and see where that goes.
That looks good.
Ooh.
Taste it and see what you think about it. If you want to add a little more orange juice. It's not going to taste like oranges. It just, like I said, adds the acidity you need.
What did you think?
I like that.
You want more orange juice?
I feel like I could do it with spot.
So far, I'd say like there's 3 tablespoons in there.
So I added 1 more tablespoon for mine. So I'm going to see how I like that. This should probably be good.
That's good.
But when you're done with that mixture, you can pour it over the sweet potatoes.
Cool. Yeah? Yeah.
I'm gonna get between all the potatoes.
Does it matter if not all of it's been touched?
It should balance out as it cooks. When it's cooking, you can always go in there and like spoon. If you see the liquid not touching certain pieces, you can like spoon the liquid over it as it's cooking.
Are you putting this in the oven now?
Yep.
Cooking ain't no joke.
It's not. Having a little bit more appreciation for the chef. So the trick for making a roux, whatever you do, it's always equal parts flour and butter.
Equal parts flour and butter.
So if you use a 4th cup of flour, you use a 4th cup of butter, like that kind of thing.
How much do we use?
Just over half.
a stick.
We use just over half a stick of butter.
Oh, that's nice.
So we're melting butter into a pan again, Jeanelle?
This one we'll do on medium heat too. If you guys have garlic and onion, I usually like to cook them down with the butter when I start the roux.
We only have like a fourth of an onion.
That's perfect. You don't need a lot. So an easy way to slice onions really thin is like when it's in circular motion, you gotta get the slices as thin as possible, and then it should be easy to cut. The knife should kind of always touch, the tip should always kind of touch the cutting board, and then you just kind of move in the back, up and down.
How many cloves of garlic are you using?
One should be fine because we're gonna add some powder too. So once you see the butter kind of start to bubble a little bit, you can add, once it's fully melted and kind of bubbling a little bit, you can add that minced onion and garlic to it.
2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
So, and you'll hear it kind of cooking down. Once you start smelling the onion and garlic, you know that it's kind of cooking down, which is a good sign. So I'm gonna measure out my flour. It's smelling pretty good, so I'm gonna start adding the flour in. You can do it like a 4th cup at a time instead of dumping it all. That way you have more control of keeping it at a liquid consistency or like fairly. And for this, I usually use a wooden spoon if you have one. If not, the whisk is fine. But when you start mixing the cheeses, it's easier to stir it.
Cool.
And then the wooden spoon doesn't scratch your pot. This is important. Do not add the milk. At least let it do its thing for about 2 minutes, because if you add the milk too early, you don't cook the flour down enough, and so you're gonna taste that. You don't want that. So you want to give the flour time to bond with the butter, but let it like bubble. You'll see little tiny bubbles kind of like happening. That's what you want to see, because that means it's cooking down together.
Jeanelle, we have oat milk. Do you think that's gonna work?
That should be fine because you have heavy cream. You're gonna need an actual dairy element to this, but you're gonna also need something thinner than the heavy cream. So if you don't have milk, you can try the oat milk. And I'll show you what mine looks like. Uh-oh, can you see that? How it's like, it's still mobile, but it's cooking down. Now, when you add the milk in, it's gonna react. You're gonna almost start to see kind of like a dough forming. Now, this is the point. Once you add the milk, I'm adding a little heavy cream to mine. Before you add the cheese in, I usually like to add in my spices and things so that I can taste it a little better. For this, it's pretty simple. I usually just do garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper. You can put a little like smoked paprika in it. And parsley is usually on top.
How much garlic and onion powder?
A good amount. You're gonna taste it. You're gonna taste them like pretty well, because when it blends with the cheeses, it's really good. That comes to you as a chef trusting yourself and tasting it, because I don't have measurements for you. I literally just add and I taste it. That's the best gift you can give yourself as a chef. Taste your food. Don't wait till it's done. If you ever feel like you're getting too thick, you can add whatever liquid agent you're using. So the oat milk, or you can add in the heavy cream.
There we go. That's what we're talking about.
Mine is getting to the consistency. I've spiced mine. I'm about to taste it. And the cheese we're going to start with is the Velveeta. I really only use Velveeta to just help it melt together a little bit, so I don't use a lot of it.
You don't have Velveeta.
That's fine too. It might not get as creamy. You might still kind of have like it be a little stringy, but
Do we have no Velveeta?
I made it over there and it was good, so we made it work. What you can add is heavy cream, because that recipe doesn't call for milk. That's tasting wonderful, so I'm gonna start adding the cubes. Anybody wondering? This is what the box is like. The small one is the 16 ounce, so I'm only gonna put about 8. I want the other cheeses to be the star. This is just to smooth out the texture. All right, my cheese is starting to melt down, so I'm getting to the point of moving toward shredded cheese. I'm gonna start adding the cheese. You can kind of add some a little bit at a time. I put more. I have more sharp cheddar than anything else. I think I told you guys to do that, right? More sharp cheddar.
Yeah, more sharp cheddar than anything.
Yeah, this is all sharp.
So you're gonna put a lot of that into the sauce. What you're gonna do is keep them separate for now, just so you have an idea of how much you're putting in each sauce and how much cheese you have left. Once we're done adding the cheese into the sausage, you can stir it up together because we're gonna put it on top, nice and mixed. All right, this is another angle for you guys. I'm just adding in cheese. Just a little bit of each, as you can see over here. Excuse the mess, it's getting a little messy over here, but I just grab a little at a time. This is the sharp cheddar, and I'm just adding it. We're gonna use a lot of this cheese that you see in this container. Like, that's gonna pretty much be half gone by the time I'm done melting this together. And as you'll see, it'll slowly start to melt and blend in with the sauce. For you guys, I would start with maybe one of the creamier cheeses, like the Gouda or whatever your creamier cheese is, to hopefully help create that base. Add maybe a 4th cup of heavy cream.
Great. Show this to Jeanelle. Jeanelle, how does this look? He's gonna do a cheese pull for you.
It's pretty good, but I think a little more heavy cream and you guys are good to go.
Fold in the cheese, David.
You can add a little bit of the seasonings to the pasta. This is what the pasta looks like. I cut up the butter into little cubes. I'm gonna add the egg and I'm gonna stir it up. And then we're gonna add actual shredded cheese, like I said before. Bring it a little closer. So now this is like creamy. That's what I want.
This, right, Jeanelle?
Can you see this?
No, that looks good.
So yeah, you want it to be more creamy than like stringy. So that's what you gotta blend your cheeses down to do. So one thing I do, I use a little bit more of like the creamier cheeses for the sauce. Still save some to go on the top. So like the sharp cheddar, mild cheddar, mozzarella, those are like better to kind of create that crust on the top. So you want a little bit, you want to save a little more of those when you're making the sauce. Yeah, I'm gonna tilt this down so you can see me adding the cheese to this dish. Make sure that basically get it to a point where all the noodles are coated in the cheese. Because it's gonna cook in the oven. If they're not all coated, it's gonna dry out. I'll show you. It should kind of come together like this. Like before they were very loose, now they're kind of sticking together. That's what you want. Another thing I do, if I have cheese left over, what I'm gonna do is kind of create a layer on the top with that cheese before I add the rest of the shredded. Right now I'm mixing the remaining cheese. Remember I said once you make the sauce, you kind of put everything together. So you'll have kind of the cool thing about mixing them is you'll have a nice and pretty top of different colors. Mm-hmm. It won't all just be solid yellow. It'll look really pretty when you're done, especially with the parsley on top. If you have fresh parsley, that's even better.
How much cheese do you say you add to the top?
You want a decently thick coating. Like you should be able to really see any noodles.
Cool.
Nice. I don't see a lot of orange in there.
Cheddar's not orange over here.
That makes sense. Artificial color.
Yeah, we had to get the Red Leicesters to get that orange color. And the Paprika actually helps get it orangier. Is there ever too much cheese for our viewers at home wondering?
I don't feel this.
All right, so this is what I'm working. This is what it looks like, Jeanelle.
All right, boys, I'm proud of y'all. Also, fun fact, if you have cheese left over when you're done, this is a really good queso dip.
Do you bake it with foil on top?
I want it to actually fully cook in the middle before worrying about it browning on top. So maybe the first 20 minutes I cook it covered, and then remove it for the last 10 to 15 minutes. When you put it in the oven, you can check in on the sweet potatoes. Oh, I guess it has been about an hour. Check on them. They might be able to cook a little longer. You want them to be very tender, so it takes time.
So this is what it's looking like before we cover it. All right, so Jeanelle, we're putting it in at 350.
Yep.
And Jeanelle, at what point do we add the breadcrumbs?
When are we gonna add the raisins?
I don't typically add breadcrumbs to my mac and cheese. I think if you do the cheese the correct way on the top, it creates a nice crisp coating. Preference is to not use breadcrumbs.
Oh, it's very tactful, Jeanelle. Jeanelle, thank you so much for joining us from New Jersey.
Of course, this was a lot of fun. We should do it again.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
We hope everyone had fun. Maybe they can make some sense of that dish.
yeah,
I'm sure it'll come out fine.
hopefully.
You guys had all the basic elements. I think the oven will do the rest of the work. Just have a little faith.
And if it's your first time watching us, thanks, first of all. Be sure to like
And subscribe.
and we have new vlogs every Sunday, but we'll do fun ones like this randomly throughout the week.
Hope you guys enjoy and have a wonderful holiday.
Happy holidays.
Holidays.
Wait. Bruno wants to say goodbye.
Bye, Bruno. Bruno, hi.